My framework of farming includes A. Zero chemical. 2. Zero tilling or minimum tilling. Third point of my farming framework is zero livestock, and get my inputs to my farm only from plant residues with hardly any animal residues. Fourth one is minimum labor force. For that, I have found a method called less intervention is the best intervention. And the last framework of farming is I am avoiding what is called resident labor family. That will only help me to reduce my cost of production. For the soil health, I have to do only two things. One is mulching, other one is microbial activity enhancement. How many coconut plant, areca plant is not important. Every areca plant or coconut plant, nut droppings should be avoided. I have to protect my every harvest. For that, this buffer zone or a microclimate makes a difference. Now, instead of this sprinkler, I am using this Winkler. What is this Winkler all about? In this Winkler, you have a single nozzle for the water to release. On top of this nozzle, there is an independent assembly. Can you see, friend? There's an independent assembly which is free to rotate like this. What happens when the water comes out from this nozzle? It will hit this surface. Because the water pressure, this will start rotating. That means the nozzle is independent of rotating system. So it never gets struck. So irrespective of the water pressure coming out from here, the Winkler keep rotating. This sprinkler costs anywhere between 120 rupees to 150 rupees, a better quality one, plastic wala. It's a metal wala costs 300 rupees, whereas this Winkler costs 35 to 40 rupees. Just to manage one wall, they introduce 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 elbows are a 90-degree bends. So this is a bottleneck in the design. This is the unique way we have designed in MS Farm without even an elbow. So entire farm, friends, I have not used even a single elbow. Hello friends, I am HR Manjunath. I born in a village called Gadenhalli in Hasana Taluk, Hasan district, Karnataka. I have done my engineering in electronics and communication engineering. After my technical graduation, I moved to Bengaluru. I managed IT business for almost 15 years. In the year 2015, I came to farming. Since 2015, I am full-fledgedly focused only on farming, that too on chemical-free farming. So initially, when I brought that land, I started adding livestock component into my farm. So I was clear on day one, on 2015, when I brought that land, that I will be practicing non-chemical farming. I will not use any chemicals as an inputs to my farm. To manage my plants, I need what is called manure and microbes, for which I was advised to manage livestock. I brought about 6 to 8 cows, build a cow shed, etc. Then I started managing that. By the end of 2 years, I realized managing the livestock and the farming activity together becoming a challenge or a burden for me. So then I decided that so I can't take both, that is the livestock management and the actual farming practices. Then I said, okay, let me just choose one. Then I decided, can I do my farming without, loading these livestock with me? So slowly I reduced my livestock head counts. And by end of 2019, I virtually shut down my cattle shed. Till then, what was happening in my farm was, because I have got livestock, I have 6 acres of matured coconut tree garden with no intercropping. The space between 4 coconut trees, I used to grow what is called green fodder for my animals. And I also used to leave these animals for grazing, thinking that let them walk and come. Because of continuous growing of green fodder only, which supported minimum tilling, and letting these animals to graze, what happens was my soil quality deteriorated. Because when I grow green fodder, I only take from the soil, nothing goes back to the soil. Obviously, dung and urine, I try to give it back, but that is not enough for that whole area. Then also, this grazing of animals wandering around all the farm also created an impact. Thereby, I can't grow either the crops, small bushy plants if I put, or the commercial crops, or the weeds. Regular grazing of livestock in a farmland, now I understood, kills what is called weed diversity. Only grasses will grow, nothing will grow. Other than that, hardly anything will grow. This because of these two things, so continuous grazing, continuous growing of green fodder, etc. So my soil didn't improve, even though I am practicing organic farming for 3 to 4 years with the help of these animals. Then I realized the soil is not improving, the microbes are not increasing, my coconut yield remains what it was. It fluctuates. Then I started reading. So what is this? Why it is happening? Then I understood that for the soil health, I have to do only two things. One is mulching, other one is microbial activity enhancement. Then finally, I decided to sell all my cattle. Then I came back to Bangalore and I started understanding, reading, learning the intricacies of or the nuances of chemical-free farming or a organic farming or a natural farming. Then as I start learning, I got another opportunity to start farming in this place where I am standing today. This is called village Banavati, Sasalu Hobali, Doddaballapura Taluk, Bangalore Rural District. This farm is span across about 8 acres and I started farming in this place since June 2022. That's almost 3 years from now. So I started farming here and it was from zero. Only the fence was there, borewell was there, and every planting we have done. So I will take you through this farm. We call it as MS farm, the farm tour of this farm, and I will share my experiences. Just to summarize, stay chemical free, use whatever available locally, or grow something which is required to support your plants in terms of plant residues. Less intervention is the best intervention. Just look at what is available, your labor resources, use them accordingly. This framework, I am managing both my farms. Friends, you can see that is our live fence, the permanent fence. And after the live fence, physical fence, I have about 12 feet road. This is called peripheral road. It starts from my farm pond and goes all along from the northern side, then comes back to the eastern side, like a capital U. Then, after leaving 12 feet for my peripheral road, my main pipeline gone. This is our 63 mm 2-inch PVC pipe drawn from my borewell all along this peripheral road till that north corner it has gone. So this bund what you see, friends, is my pipeline. On this pipeline system also, I keep growing my green manuring plants like mulberry, gliricidia, subabul, etc. That I will explain. I keep growing there. Coming back to my design, friends, I followed 9 by 9 grid matrix. Matlab, I take a reference point. Let's assume this is the first point reference in this block where we are. This is my first grid point, 9 by 9. From here towards the north side, every 9 feet we have made pits. Similarly, from here towards the eastern side, every 9 feet we made the pits. So on the day one, we made this 9 by 9 pits. And this is my first reference line. In the first reference line, all along this peripheral road and this irrigation pipeline bund, I have put towards north at one direction, the timber value plants. You can see this is mahogany, Melia dubia, and this is mahogany. So they come at a distance interspace of 9 feet each. Now, I have put interleaving pattern of these timber value plants. That means there is a Melia dubia, then the mahogany, then the Melia dubia, then the mahogany. This pattern continues for the entire stretch. Totally, I have planted 150 such timber value plants, approximately 75 them of mahogany, 75 them as Melia dubia. You can see now why I did this interleaving. Obviously, one is to create diversity. I don't want to put in the series. And second thing is for the better canopy management. Then let's look at the next point. From here, about 9 feet, I have the second line in the design, the first reference line as far as my coconut is concerned. Friend, this is a 9 by 9 matrix. I've used both coconut and areca as the primary crops. Now what I have done in this reference, this is my coconut line. On the coconut line, on one direction, on the northern side, for every 27 feet coconut is there. In between, I have planted 2 fruit plants. You can see a surviving fruit plants here. Sapota, it's cricket ball, or Kalipat. Kalipat sapota has come here. There's one more fruit plant, then one more coconut. So what to mean to say, on the coconut line, in one direction, I have accommodated fruit plants. So on the other side, that is 9 feet from the coconut line, there are 2 areca lines. So from the coconut, we have a 9 feet first areca line. From then another 9 feet, there is another areca line. Then comes my third coconut line. That means now on this axis, that is towards the east, I have coconut to coconut 27 feet in between 2 areca plants. These areca plants are placed at 9 feet apart both on the eastern side and the northern side. So you can call them as 9 by 9 grid matrix. So my areca's are there at 9 by 9 grid matrix, and these two areca lines are sandwiched between two coconut lines. By having this design, that is not planting areca on the coconut line, I was able to accommodate at least 400 fruit plants. This farm, this part of the land is 4 acres, friends. In this, I have planted 150 coconut trees at 27 by 27 matrix, about 800 plus areca plants at 9 by 9 matrix, that is 2 line between 2 coconut lines. And we've also planted about 20 plants of 20 species, about 400 fruit plants. So I can able to accommodate this. So in summary, 150 tip-to tall coconut trees, 800 areca plants from the Are-Malanadu belt from a place called Sakraipatna, Kadur Taluk, Chikmagalur district. Then I have fruit plants. I purchased these fruit plants from IIHR Hesaragatta, Bengaluru, or University of Agriculture Sciences Horticulture College Nursery at Bengaluru. Now after 3 years, I am trying to look at the space between 2 areca plants. I have these 2 areca plants. I have the center zone, and center place about 4.5 feet. Now I started preparing pits for this. Now we are going to do intercropping. One more crop will come all along the areca line, and this pit I will be planning to plant either a coffee or a cardamom. So already I made an attempt to grow coffee here just to see whether coffee can come here or not. But I found encouraging results. Between 2 areca plants or between a coconut plant and a fruit plant, I am trying to plant this coffee. So as a sample, I brought some 100 numbers of coffee plants from my other farm, that is Hasan Sakleshpura Road, neighbor, and there is a nursery. So friends, you can see in 3 years only, less than 3 years, my coffee plants have grown. I can see coffee berries coming up. To create shade for coffee, I am not only relying on the shade comes from the areca or adjacent coconut, I have also planted these kind of plants. This is called erythrina. The shade created by this erythrina plant is helping this coffee to establish and give me coffee berries. So in between, if I plant one coffee also, this year, that is 2025, we are going to have at least 750 plus coffee plants being planted here. Friends, you may be knowing in coffee we have 2 varieties. One is Arabica, other one is Robusta. I have chosen here Arabica plant, and this particular species is called Chandragiri. Chandragiri Arabica species. So I have not tried cardamom. I am going to try in the days to come. You can see in my irrigation pipeline, I have main line already explained going all the way towards the north section, and it is forking to 90 degrees to cover to this part of the area. So I created what is called pipeline bund. You can see on this bund below, I have 2-inch pipeline main line going with a tapping points at various sections. What I thought, anyway my pipeline bund is there, I put some soil on top of it. Can we grow something? Then I thought I brought what is called this mulberry plants. These are all mulberry plants. They are planted somewhere in October, November 2023. You can see how the stem is grown. Friends, we keep on harvesting mulberry at least 3 to 4 times in a year. You can see this is the mulberry harvest I got. So much of biomass we get. So even on the pipeline bunds, we make use of it to grow some green manuring or mulching material. Here is an example. We have grown mulberry and mulched to this areca plant. So I think like this I have about 4 forkings of approximately 150 feet. That means I have 450 feet of mainline forking. On this 450 running feet, on both the sides, I have planted this mulberry at a distance of about 4 feet. That means about 80 mulberry plants per bund into 4 bund. About 300 plus mulberry plants have come here. I did nothing, friends, zero investment. I went to nearby silkworm growing farmer. This kind of sticks he gave me free. I just brought like this, just put them. This is how we need to grow plant residues or the biomasses inexpensively within our farm. Dear friends, you can see in this part of my farm, lot of weeds being grown. Okay, as I already said, what is my framework of farming? Zero tilling. So I never till this place from last 3 years, and I don't have any intention to do so. As a result, you can see varieties of weeds being grown, and we keep doing brush cutting. That is weed management using brush cutter. We keep doing it. Today also is happening on the other side. So you can see here the diversity of weeds. So what is grown naturally is these things. Your parthenium grows, this way dicotom plant will grow, there's another plant will grow. So much varieties, diversities can be found in these places. So I always look at adding diversity. From my side, friends, I will try to add Styla hamata, which is kind of a grass kind of a family. I keep broadcasting them. I also broadcast Sarnem, Diancha and Horsegram from my side. So since we are in zero tilling, today for example, we wanted to do brush cutting of this area. We just broadcast these green manuring seeds and then we do brush cutting. Thereby, we try to add more species of weeds into this weed part. That means to say, I am creating what is called weed diversity. What is the benefit of weed diversity? If you look at this, with the coconut and areca, if I had done some kind of a tilling here, all this green vegetation would have been lost. That means, in the interspace between these two coconut and areca plants, no activity, no microbial activity, because microbes needs food. Who gives the food? The plants gives the food. So in the absence of these kind of so-called weeds, my microbes will go and concentrate themselves on the root of my coconut or root of my areca or any other commercial plant which I have planted. Now what is happening? My microbes are distributed on every square inch of the soil because they are getting food everywhere, friends. So we should not look at weed as a problem. We should look at weeds as a advantage. Today, if at all, the entire square foot of this land being active by microbial buzz, it's because of so-called weeds which I maintain them. I will never uproot them. In fact, I add diversity to weeds, as I already said, by broadcasting some seeds of my choice. Yeah, you have a challenge to walk in the farm, do brush cutting. So this is the weed management and weed diversity. Nature always wants diversity. In my farm, friends, you have microbial diversity on the root of the plant. You have weed diversity on the surface of the soil. You have plants diversity by multi-cropping, and we have timber value plants, so many things. So I created diversities everywhere. Nature only supports diversity. Hence, as a natural farmer, we should strive to create diversity and leave it to the nature. Now, I have started going into the next level because it's a 3 years old farm now. On the additional layers, as I told you, I am planning to put cocoa or a cardamom between two areca plants at a 4.5 feet center because my arecas are 9 feet apart, and the center, that part is reserved for coffee. Now, let me get into another level of planting. This I call it as diagonal center. From the 9 by 9 plants, in this example, there is an areca, there is a fruit plant called peanut butter, another fruit plant called peanut butter. So, between two fruit plants and two areca plants, this is called diagonal center. On the diagonal center, this year, that is August 2024, I planted these cocoa plants. Now, these cocoa plants came on the diagonal center and I have spaced them 18 feet apart. See, friends, there is a cocoa plant here. Then on the next diagonal center, I kept it open, and then go to the next diagonal center, that is another cocoa has come next to the coconut there. So, in this direction, there is a north direction, the distance between two cocoa plants is 18 feet. Obviously, I have a challenge on the east and west direction because my 9 feet grids are there. So, eventually what happens, my areca grows to the first layer. Similarly, coconut also grows. Fruits canopies will be managed. I will see to that our friend cocoa also get sufficient space on the east-west also to establish her canopy. Apart from the north-south, she can happily grow. So, this is the another multi-layer cropping introduction we are planning now. Now, let me go to the other passage, which is a 9 by 9 between two areca. Here also, I take the diagonal center between 4 arecas and I plant here what is called nutmeg or a mosambi. So, avocado also can plant because I already have avocado, not required. So, my nutmeg or a cinnamon will come here, or a clove. Nutmeg, cinnamon, clove are the 3 spices plants. I wanted to plant it here. How this 9 by 9 grid diagonal center plant looks with the cocoa plant? You can see I will create what is called zigzag. This is my nutmeg, that is my cocoa. Again, there is a nutmeg, there is a cocoa. So, there will, even in the diagonal center plants, between the 2 passages, we put them zigzag. Idea is everyone should get sufficient canopy for them to perform. I also grown some turmeric and ginger behind my farmhouse. I am going to find a place for them also here as the another layer. So, that will follow as the months to come. So, this concludes my multi-layer planting, planning and implementation. In this part of our MS farm, let us look at few more concepts which we have implemented here. The uniqueness of this design is there are fruit plants accommodated on the coconut line on north direction by avoiding areca here. That has given me an opportunity to grow fruit plants. I already said about 20 species of fruit plants we have planted. Few of them are performing. They are already started giving fruits. This is water apple plant. In water apple we have green, white and red or a pink. So what I have grown here, what fruits I am getting is all green. You can see water apple green is coming up. Last year only we ate some water apples. This time it is coming again. There are about 10 to 12 water apples in this section on the coconut line only. So like this, I have incorporated fruit plants. That means I needed have to dedicate a separate place for fruit gardening. I can incorporate along with my areca and coconut grid plants. Second part, friends, you can also see here what is called companion plants or companion species. I have used about 4 to 5 types of companion plants in this design. Majorly Glycidia, Erythrina, Moringa and Suspenia grandiflora. We call it as Agasse or Chogache. What happens? When I put my companion species plant like Glycidia here next to my areca plant, see you can hardly any distance between the two. So on the day one, when this areca has to grow, it requires nitrogen supply. This is a nitrogen fixing plant, perennial nitrogen fixing plant. So this will fix the nitrogen from the atmosphere and provide to my areca plant. So that's how this is taken care. One is nitrogen fixing supply to the grid plant. Second, it creates shade. As my areca was very small, it requires shade. Particularly areca plant need not to be exposed, should not be exposed to the afternoon or evening sunlight. We can see there are cracks happening on the stem of the areca. But in my farm, that is not happening because I have a shade creation plant adjacent to my grid plant. That way, that sun burning effect of areca stem is also not there thanks to this. One is nitrogen fixing, second thing is shade management. Third and important thing why I plant these plants, Glycidia and others, is for biomass. Look at friends, so much of biomass being created by this companion plant to my grid plant. See, from years, from last 2.5 years, see, I have done so much of mulching. See, look at this, look at the roots are coming up. So much of biomass has come. Initially, we thought of chopping them into small pieces. Nowadays, to save labor, I will tell them just chop, drop. Manure for this is prepared by plant residues, and these plant residues are produced by an adjacent companion plant. That's why it says, please grow your manure plants in your farm. Don't buy any manure from outside, and you can happily grow manure plants adjacent to your grid plants. Look at here, there is my coconut, this is my Erythrina. This Erythrina is just 3 years old, has taken care of my coconut from day one. This coconut is so healthy because of this Erythrina. I can confidently say. This biomass is also retained by this. Friends, this biomass made up of plant residues will have all the nutrition required for my coconut or a grid plant. Friends, if I can do this kind of mulching, what else is required? Why I need to buy manure from outside? Am I not producing manure locally? So to adjacent to my grid plant? So much of, that's what I said, less intervention. I will not bring anything from outside. See, this internodal distance is appropriate. Matlab, this is growing with natural management. No DAP, no urea, nothing is added. See, this will show you, is it a natural growth or a extended? If you put urea, DAP, etc., this distance will be more. You can observe in any of the areca plants also. So in this line, I have only jamun. I don't see any major disease to these plants. Even it comes, I don't know what to do. I just leave it to the nature, it will fix it. So this is the beauty of doing your natural farming. Just leave it to the nature. Within 2.5 years, the pomegranate has grown like that. Okay, we just do mulching and moisture management using our Winkler systems. In the coconut palm management, coconut garden management, we have a couple of insects comes and eats the new bunch which comes from the coconut or even areca. There are 2 types of insects which generally affects our coconut palms. One is the rhinoceros beetle, other one is the red palm weevil. So how do we manage this, control of these 2 insects being attacking our plants? There is a procedure, it is a biocontrol system called pheromone trap. This is a pheromone trap system designed to capture the both rhinoceros beetle and red palm weevil. This bucket trap has got a provision to fix what is called lural. This is a lural for rhinoceros beetle. There's another lural for red palm weevil. Now friends, what we have done on this bucket, we have put this rhinoceros beetle ka lural. See, the male insect has come because of the pheromone smell and get trapped into this bucket water. So like this we can control. What happens when the male gets captured like this, the female goes unmated. It doesn't get fertile. So its reproduction will never happen. Like this, we have a biocontrol system. On 1 acre of coconut garden, we will going to have at least 4 or 5 such trap buckets. This MS farm, we have implemented an irrigation system. In the first year, that is 2022, I have implemented what's called drip irrigation system. Later I found drip is not the way forward because I need to create weed diversity everywhere. That means I have to maintain moisture at every square feet of this land. So last year we moved to what is called Winkler irrigation system. You can see now the Winklers are operating. So the main line is 63 mm. It will drop from all the way here. Then I take what is called subline, which is 50 mm, that is 1.5 inch PVC pipe. From the subline I have taken feeder line, which is 40 mm. To that feeder line, I have put a rising point of 32 mm. To that rising point, I use about 1 meter height stand. I have put what is called a Winkler. I will explain what is difference between sprinkler and Winkler shortly. But you can see there my Winkler is performing. So here in this design, I have put 24 by 24 matrix. That means between 2 feeder lines of Winkler, it is 24 feet. Between 2 Winklers in a feeder line is also 24 feet. As already said, I have got a 12 HP submersible motor. Winkler is the way forward. If you want to create diversity everywhere, please go for Winkler based irrigation system, not the drip irrigation system. I have migrated from drip irrigation to Winkler system. After moving here, I can see lot of changes in this farm. My weed diversity, my plants growth, etc. So hence moving forward, if you are in the drip irrigation, next possibility, please move to Winkler irrigation system. You can retain your main line, you can retain your subline. You just have to add feeder line and the delivery points. Hello friends, now we have come to this part of our farm. Now on the eastern side I have a neighbor. This neighbor is a chemical farmer. You can see there, he is doing chemical farming. Obviously, there is no weed diversity, there is no companion plant, there is no nitrogen fixing, there is no shading, there is no timber value plants. I am just only comparing between both of us. Since he practices chemical farming, obviously I will get some kind of an impact. To avoid the negative influence of chemical inputs he is used, what I have done is I have created what is called a buffer zone here. I have reserved this much of space to create buffer zone. This buffer zone consists of multi-layer perennial trees or a bush or a plants. Now next to my physical fence, I have planted this green border fencing plants. This is my Gliricidia. At a 6 feet, I also have our Sesbania, our Subabul. So the Subabul and Gliricidia interleavingly I have planted. This is about 2.5 years now. It is returning too much of biomass. We are chopping it today because we wanted to use it for our coconut and areca. But one fine day I will leave it like this to create a green wall. Next is my peripheral road, then my pipeline. Okay, then comes my timber value plant line all along, interleaving of mahogany and Melia dubia. Now after this 8 feet, 9 feet is my commercial crop. Friends, if you look at it, from my areca or a coconut line to my physical fence, so much of space I have reserved. In this space, I am growing timber value plants, I am growing nitrogen fixing plants like Moringa, Gliricidia, Subabul, Erythrina, etc. Now I start also planting high density, some other species, forest species plants, bushy plants, and once everything is set up and grown to different canopy levels, this I call it as a buffer zone. A buffer zone of approximately 30 feet in width and more than 200 feet length all along my chemical farming friends border. I am going to create this buffer zone. This buffer zone, what it does, once it grows into such height, this buffer zone creates what is called microclimate to my farm. So this microclimate helps to grow my areca palm plants, areca and coconut. The plants to survive, perform. You can see in the areca and coconut, there is what is called nut drops. Those nut drops happens on any farm where they don't maintain this kind of greenery or microclimate. I am confident my areca and my coconut nut drops will not be there, even if it will be very minimum, because this buffer zone creates that effect to avoid excess temperature during the summer months. Now, in addition to that peripheral road, friends, I have created one more perpendicular road to the peripheral road. This is a interlink road or a perpendicular road. This is about 10 to 12 feet. This helps me to move logistics. I can move my material, manure and other things. Now, all along this peripheral road, the perpendicular road, on either side, I have gone for mango and jackfruit. I have jackfruit here. It has not come because of excess moisture. I am going to plant them. On the other side of this perpendicular road, you have jackfruit also. In our MS farm, the mangoes and jackfruits are restricted to this perpendicular road and that buffer zone area. I have not planted mango or a jackfruit inside my 9x9 coconut grid area. When we create the irrigation system, the 63 mm 2 inches PVC ka main line, it has gone all along this bund till that north corner, more than 680 feet. So what I did, every given distance, let us say every 100 feet, I put these kind of tapping points. The main line is gone there, I put a T, I put a height like this and a threaded cap. So benefit of this is, tomorrow I want to tap a subline or a feeder line to this section of the farm, I can tap it here without digging opening and finding the main line. So my suggestion is, you start making this kind of tapping point provisions on your main line at an arbitrary distances such that future tapping become relatively simple. Friends, for this MS farm, which is of 8 acres extent, so we are using irrigation system based on this tube well or a bore well. This 8 acres land has got about 4 bores drilled, but we are using only one of this bore well for lifting the water. From the last 3 years, this single bore well with a 12 HP 18 stage vertical submersible pump is pumping the water, and we are able to manage this all this plantation with single bore well. Now this bore well has got 380 feet depth. It throws water here. It is about, we have drawn a 2-inch pipeline, main line. So with this filter, it goes through. Now the filter is inactive because I moved from drip irrigation to Winkler irrigation system. Generally, what people do for ease of management, they put wall like this. You can see. So the main line comes, instead of putting a wall and straight through, they make 4 bent structure like this. They bring this wall above the surface level such that they can easily operate the wall. Just to manage one wall, they introduce 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 elbows are at 90-degree bends. So water coming from the main line has to traverse through this section and go through 4 90-degree bends and move to the next level. So this is a bottleneck in the design. Every 90-degree bend will put backward pressure on our submersible motor. Thereby the discharge pressure and the volume of water discharge get affected. Friends, imagine there are 8 to 9 such tapping points where we control the direction of main line flow. Everywhere if you put like this, 8 4s are 32 elbows will come. This itself will bring down lot of overhead, load, back pressure on our motor. Hence, this is the traditional way people will follow. This is the unique way we have designed in MS farm without even an elbow. So entire farm, friends, I have not used even a single elbow to make my irrigation system. This is the uniqueness. You might ask, Manjunath, what happens if it is in the 2.5 feet depth? How do you go and operate this wall? Friends, what I did, I built a chamber like this, ready-made concrete slabs, and I got this rod. This rod is got a T, and at the end we have a U. This gets welded. So what I do, I just hold this T. I want to open this wall. I just close this and open this. Now the motor is on. I don't want to close this. So inside, maybe I can show it. So this wall is closed now. Now I can open this and leave it to A section. See, now the water moves to A section. So whenever I don't need, I can close it back. See, closed it. So from last 3 years, we are operating here. No damage, nothing, well protected physically. Last point, friends, when you put this PVC accessories above the ground like this, it exposes to sunlight and possibility of physical damage by a tractor or some other farming activity. But when it goes to underground like this, it is protected from sunlight, protected from physical damages. So very, very efficient way of designing your pipeline system for irrigation. Friends, this terrain, I have not done any landscaping, no JCB, nothing. It was a natural terrain like this. We just started planting. You can see here I have planted lemon, okay, and with a companion plant like our tapioca, glycidia, etc. Now the lemon is about 2.5 years old now. It's happily growing. Okay, we did some mulching now that I have to chop it and mulch it now. So like that, you don't have to do any change to the landscape. Given the landscape, start planting your plants, both your commercial plants and the nitrogen fixing perennial plants. See, my coconut is also growing happily. We don't have to invest on that landscaping JCB work. Friends, the framework of operation what I am following in this MS farm is zero chemical, zero tilling, zero livestock. So the moment I say zero livestock, the question will rise, how we will going to prepare organic farming inputs to add microbes to the soil and also nutrition to the plant. Friends, I have, as an alternative to cattle urine, cattle dung based farming, I invented another set of combinations. Here what I do, I use the microbial inoculation to my plants using a commercially readily available microbial consortia called Enrichable Microorganism.1 Hariali. This EM1 Hariali is a master set of microbes. Apart from this compost making, we will also use this microbial culture to drench on the basin of the plant. When we do microbial inoculation to the basin of the plant to increase the microbial density and microbial diversity, that process is called microbial biome. I need to increase the microbial biome on the root zone of my plants. For that, I have to add this microbial culture. First we need to do, we should take let us say a 20-liter drum like this and put jaggery, make a jaggery liquid. To this jaggery liquid, we will going to add this enrichable microorganism source culture. This source culture do have both aerobic and anaerobic microbes. Now, after 4 days, this liquid become AEM, activated enrichable microorganism. What I will do, I take this source AEM and dilute this to different ratio, 1:20, 1:40 and 1:50, depends on my field application. That means for every 1 liter of AEM, I can mix 20 liters of water and use it for my basin drenching microbial inoculation. This is for my yielding coconut trees, areca trees and fruit plants. If it is for a small plants, 2 years old, 3 years old, then I will dilute it to 1:40. If it is for a field crops where we grow millets, groundnuts, etc., we can go up to 1:50. This dilution ratio is the function of the crop, the age of the crop and the expectation from the crop. Friends, when I do this microbial AEM microbes inoculation to my coconut or an areca or a fruit plant, I hardly use few mLs, 250 ml, 500 ml, because it is not a nutrient, it is a microbe. So we have to add very less quantity. So that is about inoculation of microbes, aerobic microbes to the basin of the plant. Now I have added microbes. What next? I need to feed the microbes. As a food for microbes, I started using this. This is called oil seed cake. Friends, you can see these are all the oil seed cakes being extracted from an oil expelling unit. There are two types of oil seeds will be used to extract oil in the industry. First category is called non-edible oil cake seeds. Second category is called edible oil cake seeds. For example, here you can see edible oil cake seeds. This is groundnut oil cake seed after expelling the groundnut oil. This is copra or a coconut oil seed cake. This is sunflower oil seed cake. Like that, we have different types of oil seed cakes available in the industry. So here what we do, we collect these oil seed cakes of different types and make a liquid called oil seed cake liquid. I take about 6 types of oil seed cakes, out of which 3 will be non-edible, neem, castor and pongame. Another 3 or 4 will be edible. So I get them in a ratio. In a 50 kg bag, for example, I have 35 kg non-edible oil cake seeds and 15 kg edible oil seed cake. In the 35 kg non-edible also, I will go for 20 kgs of neem, 10 kgs of castor, 10 to 12 kgs of castor, 2 to 3 kgs of pongame. The cost of this 50 kg bag is 1500 rupees. That means approximately 30 rupees per kg. I get this 6 types of oil seed cakes, mix them very well and put approximately 5 kg of that oil seed cake in it. Assume that this is a 200 liter blue color drum. On the 200 liter barrel, I will put 5 kgs of mixed oil cake seeds and rotate like this. Leave it for approximately 5 to 6 hours or maybe for overnight. Next morning, my oil cake liquid manure is available. This oil cake liquid manure, I do basin drenching. I take this liquid manure like this, go to every plant of my interest and all along the periphery where the root zones are there, I just going to pour them. On an average of 2 to 3 liters for young areca or a coconut or a fruit plant, approximately 5 liters for a matured or a adult tree or a plant. Like that I do this. Once I pour this oil cake seed liquid into the basin of the plant, the microbes get activated. They get their food. Already I provided them a shelter with a good level of mulching. With a mulching, moisture and food, the microbe starts performing. So what they do, they take the nutrition part available on this oil seed cake and also the decomposed green biomass which I have mulched, convert that into a available format of plant nutrient and give it to my plants on demand. This whole process happens within the basin of my plants. Along with this too, I do regular mulching of biomass. So this oil seed cake on a 200 liter drum, friends, I put about 5 kg mixed oil cake. Then I take 200 liter. I found still some residues are still there. I add another 2 to 3 kgs from the fresh stock. Take another 200 liters drum. Finally, like I make 3 intervals. On a 10 kg, I can make 600 liters. I suggest to my fellow organic farmers to use this oil cake liquid manuring application at least 4 to 5 times in a year. Okay, you avoid during July, August, September because there is heavy rain, lot of moisture will be there. So if you put this again, some more moisture will happen. So we in the winter time and the summer months, let us do this at least once in a month. Manure preparation or manure making is one of the key factor that as an organic farmer we need to learn. You can see here, I had an opportunity to get some sheep manure for some other projects. Now my sheep manure has come. This is my sheep dung manure. Okay, then this is my plant residue. So what we have done, we have created a kind of a box like a structure using that kadapa stone. So this will be approximately 5 feet in width and about 25-30 feet in length. So on this what we have done, we have put this sheep manure and the green biomass what we are grown in our farm being chopped and layered here. You can notice here I have done different layering. One layer of sheep manure followed by green leaves, again sheep manure, again green leaves, like that I have added. Friends, this method of decomposition, creating a manure from the raw material is called aerobic decomposing composting. This is also known as heap method of composting. Here we are going to create a heap. It will be above the ground level, surface level. So we put them in layers, layer by layer we are going to put them. And like this when you put and we maintain moisture, and since I have the activated enrichable microorganism and then put these microbes here. So these activated microbes will do the decomposition of this biomass. Even if I don't add these microbes or a decomposing bacteria to this, in this period that is May, June, July, August, if you leave it to the nature God acts on this. It will become a fantastic compost by itself by end of 5 to 6 months. So if I am not in a hurry, if I am in a hurry, I can put some decomposing bacteria. Friends, whenever you find an opportunity next time in your farm, you have a raw material like this, either a dung manure or a green biomass, any plant residue, animal residue, you wish to do decomposition to create an organic manure, please follow heap-based method with aerobic decomposition. At MS Farm, this is our farmhouse. Okay, behind this farmhouse have this patch of land. Last year also I grown turmeric here. I brought about 8 kgs of turmeric seeds. So another 30 kg I will going to plant now. So what I did, we restructured the bed last time's bed again. Now this time I did one more innovation. See, this is my turmeric line. Can you see? This is my turmeric line. I have put turmeric here also. It will going to come up now. So this time what I did, along with turmeric, this is the bed size approximately 3 feet. Okay, and length whatever it is. Now on either side of the bed, we have put turmerics. Okay, then at the central line, I have put, can you see here, this is sun hemp, okay, and also diancha and some horse gram. I have put the green manuring seeds here, sun hemp, diancha at the center. So what happens, the sun hemp diancha grows very fast, within 45 days it goes to this side. So this will provide nitrogen fixing and other things to our plants. I will also chop them, cut them and mulch them to my turmeric. Means turmeric as a commercial crop gets nitrogen fixing done by these green manuring plants and also get mulched by the harvest of this. So that's what my concept is. Wherever you plan to grow any commercial crop of interest, grow your manure there only. Local production of manuring there only. Plant-based manuring. This is something I am followed. You can also see here, I have not increased the length of the beds. Can you see, friends? See, there are, I put Glycidia, Erythrina, Susbania, all these things. So I have not extended the length. So I created, this is called bunds. Look at, there are bunds like this, there are bunds like this. And all along the bunds, I grow these nitrogen fixing plants, which create shade, which returns biomass, which also does nitrogen fixing. So it will go into, in 2 months now, you're going to see all becoming a green cover will happen here. Such a simple concept. Organic farming is very easy, very simple. Only we need to understand the basics. So grow the crop, grow the manure adjacent to your crop. Thank you for joining me in these episodes. We have taken a detailed tour of MS Farm. I have learnt a lot in these last 10 years in both my farms management. Specifically with respect to irrigation, I learnt a lot, avoid bends and all. These are all my innovations. I have thought out and do it. Multi-layer, multi-cropping is the only way forward for us to sustain our economics or wealth generation. Every piece of land is important. So I am putting such a focused efforts to grow this. The key takeaway from MS Farm, my experience, which I am shared with you, is creating opportunities to grow more crops. So if you have a clarity, if you have a very good plan, very good roadmap, you can easily execute it. The basic is soil health, and that soil health comes from active microbes. So let us focus on these fundamentals. Thank you very much for connecting with me, and I hope the information, my experience, the knowledge shared to you through this platform is useful for you. My contact details are given below. Please do call me or get in touch with me anytime. I'm happy to share and happy to visit your farms also and learn from your experiences. Thank you very much. Wish you rewarding, healthy, organic farming experience to you. Thank you.